Janet Louise Yellen, born August 13, 1946, is an American economist at the Brookings Institution and a professor emeritus at the University of California, Berkeley, Haas School of Business, having taught economics as a professor for over 20 years from 1985 to 2006. She served as the chair of the Federal Reserve from 2014 to 2018, and as vice chair from 2010 to 2014. She was the first woman to head the Federal Reserve. 1. Yellen was a Federal Reserve Board governor from 1994 to 1997 and again from 2010 to 2018. She served as the 18th chair of the White House Council of Economic Advisers under President Bill Clinton from 1997 to 1999. She was president of the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco from 2004 to 2010. In 2014, Yellen was nominated by President Barack Obama to succeed Ben Bernanke as chair of the United States Federal Reserve. 2. She served one 4-year term as Federal Reserve Chair from 2014 to 2018 and was not reappointed by President Donald Trump. In addition to her continued contributions to the field of economics, Yellen is also noted for breaking down many gender barriers as a woman in the field. 3. On November 23, 2020, multiple news outlets reported that President-elect Joe Biden will nominate Yellen to serve in the Biden cabinet as the United States Secretary of the Treasury. 4-5. Yellen was born in a Polish-Jewish Sikhs family in the Bay Ridge neighborhood of New York City's Brooklyn borough, 7, where she also grew up. Her mother was Anna Ruth, née Blumenthal, 1907 to 1986, 8, an elementary school teacher, and her father Julius Yellen, 1906 to 1975, 9, a family physician, who worked from the ground floor of their home. 10-11-12, her mother quit her job to take care of Janet and her older brother, John. 10-13, she graduated from local Fort Hamilton High School as a valedictorian. 14-10. Yellen graduated summa cum laude from Pembroke College and Brown University with a degree in economics in 1967. At Brown, she switched her planned major from philosophy to economics and was particularly influenced by professors George Bortz and Herschel Grossman. 15. She received her Ph.D. in economics from Yale University in 1971. Her dissertation was titled Employment, Output and Capital Accumulation in an Open Economy, a Disequilibrium Approach under the Supervision of, later to be, Nobel laureates James Tobin and Joseph Stiglitz, who has called Yellen one of his brightest and most memorable students. 2. 24 economists earned their Ph.D. from Yale in 1971, including Uri Passon and Gary Smith, but Yellen was the only woman in that doctoral class. 2. After receiving her doctorate, Yellen was an assistant professor at Harvard from 1971 to 76. 16. In 1977, she was recruited to become an economist with the Federal Reserve Board of Governors by Ted Truman, who had known Yellen from Yale. 17-18, Truman was a junior professor at Yale and heard her oral exam, and had recently taken over the Fed's Division of International Finance. She was assigned to research international monetary reform. While at the Fed, she famously met her husband George Akerlof in the central bank's cafeteria and the two were hastily married. 17, however, Akerlof had already accepted a teaching position at the London School of Economics and Political Science, where Yellen would also land a position as a lecturer. 19. Beginning in 1980, Yellen joined the faculty at the University of California, Berkeley to conduct macroeconomics research and teach MBA and undergraduate students. She is now a professor emerita at the University of California, Berkeley's Haas School of Business, where she was named Eugene E. and Catherine M. Trefethen Professor of Business and Professor of Economics. Twice she has been awarded the Haas School's Outstanding Teaching Award. 17. In August 1994, Yellen took leave from Berkeley for 5 years. 20. President Clinton appointed her as a member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, where she served from August 12, 1994 to February 17, 1997. Yellen then became chair of President Clinton's Council of Economic Advisers from February 18, 1997, 21, to August 3, 1999. While at the CEA, she also chaired the Economic Policy Committee of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development from 1997 to 1999. 22. During her time with the Council of Economic Advisers, Yellen oversaw a landmark study focused on the gender pay divide in June 1998. Within this study, the Council analyzed data from 1969 to 1996 to determine the cause for women to earn substantially less than men. By observing trends attributable to issues like occupation/industry as well as familial status, it was determined that while the Equal Pay Act of 1963 was a step forward, there was no explanation as to why there was a 75% difference between average pay for women and men. It was concluded that this gap had no correlation with differences in productivity and, as such, was the repercussions of discrimination within the workforce. 23. Yellen served as president of the Western Economic Association International and as a former vice president of the American Economic Association. 20. She was a fellow of the Yale Corporation from 2000 to 2006. 24. From June 14, 2004, until 2010, Yellen was the president and chief executive officer of the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. 25. She was a voting member of the Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, in 2009. 25. Following her appointment to the Federal Reserve in 2004, she spoke publicly and in meetings of the Fed's Monetary Policy Committee about her concern about the potential consequences of the boom in housing prices. 26. However, Yellen did not lead the San Francisco Fed to move to check the increasingly indiscriminate lending of Countrywide Financial, the largest lender in the U.S. 27. In a 2005 speech in San Francisco, Yellen argued against deflating the housing bubble because arguments against trying to deflate a bubble outweigh those in favor of it, and predicted that the housing bubble could be large enough to feel like a good-sized bump in the road, but the economy would likely be able to absorb the shock. 28. In 2010, Yellen told the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission that she and other San Francisco Fed officials looked for guidance from Washington because she had not explored the San Francisco Fed's ability to act unilaterally, according to the New York Times. 27. Yellen conceded her previous misjudgment of the housing crisis to the commission. "I guess I thought that similar to the collapse of the stock market around the tech bubble, that most likely the economy could withstand the housing collapse, and the Fed could move to support the economy the way it had after the tech bubble collapsed." 29. In July 2009, Yellen was mentioned as a potential successor to Ben Bernanke as chair of the Federal Reserve System, before he was renominated by Barack Obama. 30.